You quit weed to feel sharper. Instead, your thinking got slower. Words disappear in the middle of a sentence. You read a paragraph and realize none of it went in. You start something and forget what you were doing before you finish it. There is a low mental static that was not there before, and underneath it sits a quieter fear. What if this is permanent? What if all those years of daily use did real damage? Here is the truth, and I want you to hold on to it. It did not. This brain fog after quitting weed is one of the most common and most misread parts of withdrawal, and it lifts. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why your head feels like this, the real timeline for when it clears, and the one thing that cuts through it faster than anything else. So why does it happen at all? THC acts on your endocannabinoid system, and that system runs neurotransmitter signaling, the communication between your brain cells and a lot of your thinking. When you use every day, your brain adapts to THC always being there. It turns down its own CB1 receptors and resets its baseline chemistry around the drug. Then you take the drug away. For a while, the whole system runs below its normal efficiency because it is rebuilding the ability to function without the chemical it leaned on. The fog is not damage. The fog is the sound of that machine recalibrating. What does the brain fog actually take from you? It hits three specific things, and they are always the same three because they are the functions that depend most on a stable, well-regulated brain. The first is working memory, your ability to hold a piece of information in your head while you actually use it. That is why you walk into a room and forget why you went in. The second is processing speed, how fast you can take something in and respond, which is why conversations feel like they are moving slightly too quick. The third is verbal recall, pulling up the right word or someone's name on demand, which is why words vanish mid-sentence. These three go offline first when you quit, because they are the most demanding, and they come back last. Now here is what makes it worse than it needs to be. Two other parts of withdrawal pour fuel on the fog. The first is sleep. If you are sleeping 5 hours with constant wake-ups, your thinking is measurably impaired no matter what else you do, because the brain consolidates memory and clears itself during deep sleep. In the early days, broken sleep is often the single biggest reason your head feels thick. The second is anxiety. An anxious, switched-on nervous system burns mental fuel constantly because part of your attention is stuck processing a threat signal that will not turn off. Focus feels harder because it genuinely is. These do not sit in separate boxes. The fog, the sleeplessness, and the anxiety all feed each other. How long does this brain fog actually last? Here's the timeline that holds for most people. The fog peaks in the first week, usually day 2 through day 6. That is the bottom. After that, it starts climbing back. For most daily users, you get a noticeable lift somewhere in week 2 to 3, the moment you realize you got through a task without your brain sliding off it. Research on CB1 receptor recovery suggests your brain chemistry tends to normalize within about 4 weeks of stopping, and that lines up almost exactly with what people actually report feeling. If you were a heavy long-term user, several grams a day for years, give it longer, because there is simply more adaptation to undo. Full cognitive recovery can take 2 to 3 months, but the direction is always the same. It goes up. Almost everyone who pushes through the acute phase reports clearly sharper thinking by week 6 to 8 compared to their using years. And there is something uncomfortable hiding in that comparison. Long-term daily use creates its own quiet brain fog, slower processing, weaker memory, but it builds so gradually that you stop noticing it. You adapt to a dimmed version of yourself and call it normal. The withdrawal fog feels louder, partly because it arrived fast, and partly because you are finally paying attention again. The hard truth is that a lot of people were already impaired before they quit. They just could not see it. What you are feeling now is not you breaking, it is you waking up. What clears the brain fog the fastest? One thing sits above everything else, and it is exercise. Cardio is the most consistently reported tool for cutting through withdrawal fog because it raises BDNF, a protein that helps your brain rebuild its own connections. It also deepens your sleep, lowers your anxiety, and releases dopamine without THC, which means it hits 3 of the things driving the fog at once. You do not need a program for this. 20 to 30 minutes of walking a day produces a measurable difference within days. Sleep is the next lever, and it matters more than almost anything, because every bit of sleep you reclaim, the fog lifts with it. Magnesium glycinate at night helps a lot of people fall asleep and stay asleep, and I'll link the magnesium I recommend in the description so you are not guessing on the form or the dose. Keep your wake time consistent and your room cool, because your body anchors its sleep rhythm to those signals. Then work with the fog instead of fighting it. Try to concentrate by force and you just get frustrated, because you are demanding more than your working memory can hold right now. Work in short, focused blocks of 25 minutes with real breaks instead. Eat properly and drink water, since low blood sugar and dehydration both wreck focus on their own. And do not make any big decisions in the first week, because the exact mental tools you would use to decide well are the ones temporarily offline. Protect them while they come back. So where does all of this brain fog actually leave you? Let me put it back together. The static in your head right now is real, and it is earned. Your brain ran on daily THC for months or years, and now it is rebuilding itself to work without it, and that takes a little time. The sharpness you are scared you lost is not gone. It is just offline while the system resets. The fog peaks in the first week, lifts noticeably by week 2 to 3, and for most people, the fear that it is permanent quietly dissolves around week 3 or 4, the moment you start feeling the difference for yourself. Exercise speeds it up. Sleep matters more than anything, and the damage you are worried about almost always turns out to be recovery you misread. If you want a clear structure for these first weeks, instead of guessing your way through them, that is exactly why we built the Cannabis Detox Transformation Program. It walks you through recovery in 3 phases: release, resilience, and clarity, so you always know which stage you are in and what to do next. You will find it at quit-smoking-weed.com, and the link is in the description. Get through the fog. What is waiting on the other side is worth it.